I want to be clear on this, okay? Very clear on this. Pat Riley has not reached out about any of this. I don't know how engaged with social media of any kind Pat Riley is, but the people who care about Pat Riley and care about what he has built in Legion reached out to tell me that that story wasn't true, the way that it was being presented, because they are mad on behalf of Pat Riley that things get said that aren't true. This is something, Mickey Arison has had this complaint with the Miami media and the media in general for the entire time he's been owner.
He thinks that the Miami media is unfair to the Heat?
He thinks the media is filled with inaccuracies, things that aren't true.
Wait, he
Fake
thinks
news.
that
Finally.
Wait, Mickey Arison thinks that the local media that covers the Miami Heat is too inaccurate and too harsh?
The media in general, just the media in general gets it wrong a lot. It's a frustration the Heat have had for a long time.
Yeah, I remember a very public instance in where Mickey got involved and said that the media had it wrong. It was with Shams, when Shams said Jimmy Butler wanted out. Who was wrong there? Shams, the media, or Mickey and the Miami Heat? So I want to follow the inaccuracies of the unfair media to the Miami Heat. If it's not on the local level, it's on the national level. Well, that was one big national media story that he got directly involved with, and factually, he was wrong. He went at the guy with the most journalistic integrity and the best accuracy record amongst the insiders, and he was wrong. That wasn't unfair. Shams was right.
Wait, who are we talking about?
Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler didn't go out at anybody.
No.
We're talking about
No, I'm talking about Mickey. Because when Shams started reporting, Mickey and the Miami Heat and Pat Riley put out a press release. They were very aggressive in that this is not true.
Right.
Even Bernie Lee got involved, playing both sides.
Well, yeah. The I don't know how. Look, you're caught up.
I'm getting there. Not quite yet.
That was
Don't
Sean Connery, by the
tell
way.
me
Just
what
saying,
I am.
like the one,
There's still holes.
the one public gripe that I know that Mickey took exception to about the media and its coverage being lies ended up being true. Jimmy Butler did want out.
This is my opinion of every single franchise, every single owner, every single GM, every single coach, every single player who complains about the media gets it wrong.
Yeah.
Tough.
I like that take.
You don't like it? Create the narrative that works, and you know what works a lot is winning.
Well, to be fair, by the way, I just put words in Mickey Arison's mouth. I don't think anyone has heard him complain.
Oh, I saw him on Twitter. No, he was complaining.
Okay.
He was upset about the Shams report.
Okay, so
and he was wrong.
but I'm just saying in general, over the last 25 years, when I tell you that Mickey Arison's gripe is complaining about media inaccuracies, I don't know that anyone has heard him say that in his voice publicly.
No, he's got a Twitter account. Like he's spoken for himself on this front, and it ended up being wrong. Now he may turn around and argue, well, at the time I was right, but you went at the guy that once reported Trump had COVID before anybody else.
Well,
like,
they're
psycho.
So that people like just understand, since Hawk is asking.
Yep.
So whatever it is to have a poisonous work culture, you guys help me here because you guys have worked in professional sports. But I will tell you that the relief in that building that Jimmy Butler is gone, not just because of what's happened over the last couple of months, but because of how things were bent to him. And if you talk to enough Heat people, you will know that they felt like they were dealing with something, and they were not saying this publicly in any way, an unstable ingredient that they used as a furnace and fuel to get to the championship. And then when it became about money problems, nobody wanted to be at work. Like nobody wanted to be at work around this person who was an unstable element.
As I understand it, even when they were cooking, that was the case.
This is long before even the recent mess of stuff. Just a bunch of, look, I don't know. How do you guys, let me just ask you guys. I want to know how I can do any of this stuff responsibly. This stuff that I'm about to do. When Kevin Love is talking to you about panic attacks, or when DeMar DeRozan is talking to you about depression, these are places where people are dealing with mental stuff that's difficult, and they're volunteering it to you. How will you guys recognize, outside of Antonio Brown and some stuff, when one of these ingredients that is burned through this furnace of sports has become what it is? And if you ask that person, hey, should you get some help here, just like some help, it's not an insult. It's just, can you get some help? Can you get some help in a place that like, how do you navigate that conversation privately? How do you navigate it publicly if somebody doesn't actually want to have it with you?
You're a little vague here, Dan. What exactly are you talking about?
I am talking about whatever difficulties are presented by Jimmy Butler in private that we'll never have any idea about, because you've got one of the most private organizations in sports, and they cannot, and they certainly can't do it now because it would be smearing, but for somebody to tell the real story with all the details that would make it known what it's like to ride the furnace of Jimmy Butler in Chicago and Minnesota and in Miami without it being a protection or both a defense of the Miami Heat and a smear of Jimmy Butler. How do you walk that line?
You're reminding me of something where I think Mickey Arison has a point, because after the trade, was it in The Athletic, the very pro Jimmy Butler kind of spin, POV, on what went wrong in Miami that I thought was very unfair, invoking his father, having known behind the scenes exactly where the Miami Heat organization met Jimmy on those things. I think that's right for Mickey to have a gripe with how that was presented.
Let's just make it this way, okay? Let's just do it this way. Hey, Jimmy Butler's grieving. A person who may or may not be introspective about this, Jimmy Butler is grieving. How do we handle that as an organization? Just make it that simple. Don't even make it any more complicated where the combustible stuff is. Just Jimmy Butler's a little broken. How do we tell him to go get help or go talk to somebody about what he's going through? How do we assist that person?
I don't know if that's the organization's place to do that.
Yeah.
I think you say, hey, we're here for you, whatever you need. Hey, whatever resources you need, you could talk to us. Hey, I've been through the same thing.
But what if it means not working all the time?
I'm just saying, like, look, man.
What if it's a convenient thing to hang on to?
I mean,
for Jimmy Butler's camp, because the Miami Heat were very considerate of Jimmy when he was going through that and well after. This is something that is dragged on and was once again invoked when this thing happened a while ago.
I mean, I don't want to minimize anything because people go through things really, and obviously we've all, have had our own struggles and moments of, mental health situations because life is hard. It's hard for everybody. But I would say if I'm the organization, I can't tell them exactly how to handle those situations because I'm not an organization. They are. And this is not their first time going through that with all the history of dealing with athletes. But it does come along with the territory. And I would say the same thing to athletes. Like for any player that has to go through certain mental health situations, yes, that is a tough thing. That doesn't mean it's not valid. But to play in this game, it comes along with the territory. The same with the media inaccuracies. This is where we are in life, Pat Riley or whoever, because this is a part of it. The same time they'll love you when you're winning championships, you'll get the other side. And if a player is going through it, much like any injury history or anything, like you have to navigate that. That's not an excuse.
If I may, this may be a crude view on it, but the things that we're focusing on right now as a result of that piece that was very slanted in the direction of Jimmy Butler, that's what you brought on by putting your backups against the wall and saying this is not true, we're going to keep Jimmy Butler. All of this mess is what you brought on yourself by not capitulating on the Jimmy Butler thing when you probably should have a year ago, or over the summer when he was saying purple and gold looks good, or when the Shams report came out. At every turn, Miami was stubborn and said no, and at every turn they made the wrong move.
Okay, and let's do it this way now. Let's make it human and take some of the pieces out on some of the details here, okay? The entire Miami media and the Miami Heat protected Jimmy Butler's privacy when his father died, protected how Jimmy Butler needed to be in and out of games, did a bunch of stuff for Jimmy Butler that they usually don't do, and did a lot of stuff over the time Jimmy Butler was here in 5 years to serve his needs. But in this one, where the relationship breaks apart, what does the organization think it's owed from its relationship with Jimmy Butler when it holds his hand through that situation? What does it think it is buying in the relationship so that when Riley and Butler are meeting in the meeting, and this was in that Athletic piece as well, you didn't get this information.
I didn't read that.
It was leaked that Pat Riley was crying to Jimmy Butler, trying to connect in places where the relationship with the father is gone around grief, and then it was used to smear Jimmy Butler. And then after that, both sides are accusing the other of you're unhinged. And I'm legitimately asking you, where feelings reside, you guys are just on this tough stuff where it's like, doesn't matter that the media is getting everything inaccurate. Doesn't matter that you're grieving and that your dad died. Doesn't matter that you're just suffering and broken and think you need more from the organization than it's giving you. That relationship broke apart at the end with Jimmy Butler mocking that Pat Riley was crying about the death of the father stuff. Like, that's where that broke. That's the last stain on that relationship. That was the punctuation.
I think we're overanalyzing. Sorry, I mean, what we're talking about right now is the Joker, Jimmy, walking away from the hospital that's blowing up and behind him. Like, he makes a mess when he wants to get his way out. He got his way, and Miami is still dealing with the mess.
All of this can be summed up with, as Jeremy and I said a month ago now, if they had paid Jimmy when he said, I need to get paid, would we be talking about any of this?
No.
All right, that's it.
No, but if
that's
they
all.
Also, when they made the decision that they weren't going to pay Jimmy,
if they had moved him,
if they had moved him there,
then and either or, right?
Yeah.
Either or.
Oh, but hold on a second.
But then it really boils down to that. All this other stuff is window dressing.
You can boil it down to that, but even if he plays and gets his money, they're still not good enough. My point from last night's game is, hey, Cleveland's better, and they would have been better with Jimmy, and the Knicks kind of better now.
But Danny,
like whatever it is.
Danny, you went a roundabout story about people crying and fathers dying and therapy. And
He
all
did
those
that.
things.
He did that to me by bringing up Jimmy Butler again.
I literally have no idea whose father died. So the idea that I said it doesn't matter, I don't know.
Everybody's died. Jimmy's father died.
My father passed as well, but I don't know who's crying about whose dad in this damn situation. I'm going to read the Athletic article. I will get around to it, but I'm just trying to figure out. Also, with those connections being made, and I get, like, it feels like from the lack of information I do have, that you're saying that whenever a team or an executive, or if it's Pat Riley, he makes these concessions that he never makes with a player in an effort to connect, like, where is the loyalty or the return of that grace in these situations, correct?
I'm saying that I'm guessing that Pat Riley expected a return of the grace and didn't get it.
And I would say, would he be giving the grace if Jimmy Butler wasn't as good of a basketball player as he is?
Oh, but this is the poison of being in charge all your life. The amount of ego that must be on Pat Riley making all of the decisions for 50 years. Like, you think Belichick and Brady had a disconnect on where player and management meet. Like, Pat Riley, when I'm describing to you, I've had 3 people in sports show me up close what real sports excellence looks like. It's Ricky Williams, it's Jimmy Johnson, and it's Pat Riley. Jimmy Johnson didn't actually show me. He wasn't introspective enough. It was the people around him who showed me what it is that it took to be Jimmy Johnson's kind of excellent. But he got out at 50 because all of this was too hard, and he didn't like who it made him. Mm-hmm. This person is 78 and has no legitimate reason to do this. Give me all the 78-year-old leaders who are still doing this in sports at the top of the food chain, in sports. Give me all the 78-year-olds who are still allowed to be in charge.
No, that's a great point. I'm just trying to get a clear idea of the gambit. In the history of South Florida sports, 3 people showed you what greatness was.
In sports, look, let me see the insides of it.
Okay, because of your relationships there.
That's right. I'm not talking about Dwayne Wade.
Because I was going to say, like, Dwayne.
No. I'm not talking about Dwayne, LeBron, Shaq. No, I'm talking about getting to see the insides of how these things are made and what it does to your family to be at the center of, like, the furnace. It was too much for Jimmy Johnson. Pat Riley stayed there 30 years later and is now trying to make it work with Terry Rozier. And I'm asking you guys, as we walk through all of this, how's this going to end? Because Spo's having a bad year. Spo's having, like, the hit they've taken on where it is that Jimmy walks out the door and he takes the culture with him. Like, he goes 9-1. He takes the culture with him the way LeBron took the culture with him.
I know the way that I want it to end as someone that's been critical of their approach over the last couple of years, even coming off of the NBA Finals, which feels like a crazy outlier. It ends however Pat wants it to end. He made this franchise relevant. He's won 3 titles. This isn't that bad. They're still in the mix for a possible playoff spot. And I would say in terms of like a vibe check, this is probably the worst it's ever been. And that includes the year that they were tanking for Beasley or Derrick Rose. It's really bad right now, but he deserves all the time that he wants to get it right. And if he decides that he wants to bow out gracefully, he's entitled to that too. There is no one here on this show, and I don't even think it's a real good faith argument on the internet. You may find like an egg or two on social media, but I think South Florida is pretty much a consensus opinion that Pat Riley gets to write the end of his story however he sees fit.